So this barrel has a little secret, and as you saw in the short trailer, it spreads a little bit of terror in your Halloween decoration. So welcome to a brand new project here on my channel, and I name it my cute barrel of terror. And I think the name itself matches the project really well. The barrel itself is packed full with all kinds of electronics to control everything, and for me it was the first time where I used pneumatics to control the movement of a Halloween prop. The barrel contains everything you need, so we have light, we have fog effect, we have sound effect, so everything you need to spread a little bit of terror in your Halloween decoration. In this part of the video I will create the barrel as you see it here. There will be a second part later on where I take a deeper look at all the kinds of electronic and controlling stuff, but in this part I will create the cute barrel of terror. So welcome to oldschoolhaunter, let's get started! Alright, we start this project with this nice looking barrel here, and I got this barrel from a company in my area here, and there was some epoxy in it, and when the barrel is empty they just throw it away, and I asked the company if I can get such a barrel, and now here it is, ready for this project. The downside of this barrel is you doesn't have a lid on the top here. You only have two inlets or outlets here to get into the barrel. So the first thing I have to do, I have to cut here at the top, so we get a lid which can be opened later on. So before cutting off the top part to get the lid, I drill the hole in the center which is used to attach the lid to the pop-up mechanism later on. So, and before we start we need some protection, so we have some safety glasses and ear protection. So right, here's the lid, and here is the first mistake of this project, and maybe you already saw it in the video. Because I cut completely through the top edge here. Here at the end I realized my mistake, and it's a mistake because this top edge is needed because it is placed on top of the barrel here, so my lid doesn't fall into the barrel. So if you are like me and you use the angle grinder, please don't cut through the top edge completely. So to save my lid, to save my work here, I will now add some welding points all around and connect the top edge and the lid again. Alright, back from welding, and this is how it looks like. It's not the beautiest, but it doesn't matter at the end. I add some spots here, so the top edge is attached to the lid again, and that was the goal. So both parts hold together, and in the end I will cover the top edge, and yeah, nobody will see it. So we can go on with our project. So alright, before we come to the pop-up mechanism, I will cover the top edge here because, you know, metal edges can be a problem. I smoothed the edges, but it can be a problem at the end. So for this I use such corner tape, I don't know how to translate it. It's open at the bottom and you simply stick it onto the edge, and that's it. And I provide the link down in the description. I start by pushing the edge protection tape onto the metal edge. The protection tape contains double-sided adhesive strips on the inside, and then I remove the cover from the adhesive strips to stick the tape onto the metal edge. And finally I use a knife to cut the length, and that's it. So let's come to the pop-up mechanism here, and therefore I built this large 50 cm long pneumatic cylinder. Maybe one can build the pop-up mechanism a different way, but I used this pneumatic cylinder because I want it fast here. So the pop-up mechanism will be put in the center here, so the cylinder will be put in the center of the barrel, and the lid will be put on top of the cylinder here, and I use two screws at the end to attach the lid to the cylinder. And so that the cylinder holds in the center of the barrel, I will now create a support frame which carries the cylinder. Alright, our support frame consists of two wooden parts with a length of 78.5 centimeters and a bottom frame with a length of 56.5 centimeters, and at the top we have such a steel profile from the drywalls, which is used as the door frames, also with a length of 56.5 centimeters. Everything is screwed together very simple using some screws here, very simple. And the steel profile is put on top, attached using some screws. And in the center of the steel profile I already drilled a hole using a 12mm drill bit. So right, I'm done with the support framing, and now here comes the pneumatic part, so the pop-up mechanism. And for this I use this 50 centimeter long pneumatic cylinders, and here we have the in and outlets for the air, and for this you have such adapters, and on this side you have the connector for the air hose, and on the threaded side you already have such white sealing tape on it. And in most cases it works, but if you encountered some issues and it makes such a noise when you fire up the system, just use such white sealing tape here, hook it around, and it should be fine. So to control the pneumatic cylinder you need such a solenoid here, and this is a 5-way solenoid because I have two inputs here, so I need two outputs here, and these two outputs goes in direction to the cylinder. In the center you have the input for the air hose, which comes from the air compressor, and on the left and on the right you have the outputs for the air, which comes from the cylinder. This is a 12-volt version of the solenoid. I will put the link down in the description, also for the cylinder here. And on this side you have the connector for plus and ground to control the magnetic valve here. On the outlets I will put some silencers or sound absorbers, call it whatever you want, so it doesn't make so much noise when the air flows out here.
Assembling the pneumatics is not that complicated. First I screw the adapters for the air hose into the pneumatic cylinder. Then we go on by preparing the solenoid. These are the connectors for the in and outlets and the sound absorbers. Here I add the connectors for the air hose in direction to the pneumatic cylinder. Everything should be tightened very well. Now comes the connector for the air input. And last but not least, the sound absorbers are added as well. Because we have a solenoid with a magnetic valve in it, we need some power to make it work. So we need the positive and ground, and here I connect the positive wire and here the ground wire, then put the cover on top again, and we are done with the solenoid. Now it's time to cut the air hoses to length, therefore I use such small cutters. These cutters can sometimes be ordered together with some air hoses in a set. I don't measure the length explicitly, the solenoid is put to the side of the framing, so I just lay out the air hose to get the length. To connect everything you only need to plug the air hose into the connector, and that's it. And this is how it looks right now. We go in direction to the pneumatic cylinder and then back to the solenoid. Here I attach the solenoid to the framing using two screws. The solenoid contains two pre-drilled holes for this. And finally the pneumatic cylinder is screwed to the top steel frame using 4 screws. If that doesn't hold, I don't know.
Alright, everything is put together, the pneumatic cylinder is inside the support frame, and I already added the air hose here at the solenoid, and I already connected one cable here, and if I close the circuit here, the cylinder will be activated. So alright, that was a successful test run. Framing is done, pop-up mechanism works, and now it's time to place the support frame at its final position.
Alright, I told you to put the support framing into the barrel, but before I do that I thought I should probably cut a hole into the barrel, because I have to add a power cord, I have to add the hose for the pneumatics, and cutting the hole is probably done better when nothing is inside the barrel. So since I don't have a circular saw for metal in the size I need, I will use a good old angle grinder to cut the hole, and the hole will be 6 by 6 centimeter, so such a plug for the power cords fits nicely through the hole.
Alright, some changes to the plan. I told you to put the support frame into the barrel, but in the meantime I thought about maybe it's better to assemble the whole thing outside the barrel, put everything onto the support frame, and then place the complete assembled support frame into the barrel. So we continue at the top with the LED strip for the lighting, and here I use such a 12-volt LED strip, and in the end it has the color red. It has a self-adhesive strip on the backside, and this is used to place it on the top. Then we continue with the power cord, because we need some power for the fog machine at the end, and also the animatronic stuff needs power at the end. And here I created a support frame for it, and I cover the power cord inside a plastic bag just to make sure it's covered if some water gets inside the barrel. So at the bottom of the frame I placed loudspeakers on the left and on the right. I also cover them in the plastic bags just to make sure they are covered if some water gets inside. The downside of those speakers is I need some additional power because they contain an amplifier.
So alright, now we have the most important parts on the frames. We have sound, we have pneumatic cylinder, we have the solenoid for control of the pneumatic cylinder, we have light. And now here comes the most important part of the whole thing, our control center, our brain of the whole thing, our animatronic box. Alright, here we have it, our animatronic box, and if you take a look from the outside, we have the input for the 12 volts here, we have the 3.5mm jack for the speakers, and we have the slot for the SD card for the sounds. And if we take a look inside, it looks like this, a lot of cables here. So below the cables we have the microcontroller, the YD-RP2040. We have the good old sound module, we have a MOSFET trigger to control the LED strip, and we have a two-way relay, one channel to control the fog machine and one channel to control the solenoid for the pneumatics. And here we have an additional step-down module because we kind of come in with 12 volts and the microcontroller and the sound module only needs 5 volts, so we step down the 12 volts to 5 volts here. So I think I will make a separate technical video about all this here because there's a lot of stuff going on here, and yeah, let's go and put it in place. Alright, our box is in place, and here we have this nice plug. Let's unplug it here. And the plug has the sense so that I can remove the box later on if needed to adjust the software or something else and plug it in again, and I don't have to care about the wiring here. So here we have the wires for the LED, here we have the solenoid, and here we have 3 new cables, and this is the trigger for the system. And here I decided to use a PIR motion sensor here. This is this thing, and the motion sensor will be placed in front of the barrel later on, but before we place the whole frame inside the barrel, we will make a test run.
So alright, that was a successful test run. I have to admit I tested the individual components beforehand, but I didn't check the whole thing like it is assembled here. So I'm pretty happy that it works so well. I have to check the animation timings when everything is assembled and put into the barrel. So if it works, but changing the animation timings is quite easily because I put the code to control the animations onto the controller inside the animation box by myself. So it's quite easy to change the timings, of course. So I will put everything into the barrel now, add the motion sensor to the barrel, and then we check the finished prop.
Here comes the hole for the motion sensor, which has to be pretty large. So I first drill a small hole using an 8mm drill bit, and then I use such a step drill bit to widen the hole until 26mm. The motion sensor is placed inside a small box, which is sticked to the barrel using some double-sided adhesive strips. In order to place the lid, I first add a nut to the pneumatic cylinder, then hang the ghost onto it and add another nut. And finally place the top cover and add a third nut to hold everything together.
So right, everything is assembled and this is how it looks like. So we have our motion sensor in place, we have our ghost in place, and if we take a look from the back, we have our motion sensor. There I created a small box in a 3D program, printed it on my 3D printer. The box isn't needed, but it makes life a little bit easier. I use some double-sided adhesive strips to hold it in place here. And if we take a look from the back, so we have our power cord going in here, and we have the pneumatics here, the air hose for the pneumatics. This is only for testing purposes here. On Halloween I need a better air hose here. Yeah, that's it. The rest is inside our barrel. So let's take a look inside. And I already showed you, but if we take a look inside, at the bottom of the barrel there's our fog machine. On top of it there's a power bank which powers the speakers currently. And here we have the animatronic box. If we take a look at the cover here, so we have the nut here which holds it in place. And let's take a look from the bottom. We have the first nut here, then on top of it there's our ghost, the next nut. Yeah, that's it. So let's come to the final show here. Alright, that was the project, my cute barrel of terror. As you saw, you need a lot of stuff to create the project, at least it's not so much. So most of the time was spent to create all the animatronic stuff. The easiest part of the project is to prepare the barrel and hang the ghost into the barrel. For me it was the first project where I used pneumatics. So in the end I'm really happy that I made this decision, because in the past pneumatics were to me like voodoo magic, how does it work? It looked very complicated and complex, but in the end it turned out to be very simple in usage. So if you ever thought about using pneumatics in your projects, just go for it. It's a lot easier as it seems to be. The downside of using pneumatics is you need some kind of air compressor somewhere, so having a Y promoter or something like that to power the prop is a lot easier to set up. But using pneumatics in such kind of projects brings a lot of power into the project itself. So if you have questions about the project, please write them down in the comments and also tell me if you own such a barrel and how do you build it. If you do not own such a barrel, I definitely advise you build your own version, go for it. This is a very cool Halloween prop. Please do not be disappointed that the barrel looks like this. I have chosen not to paint it now because I'm not 100% sure where to place it. I will place it definitely, but I'm not 100% sure where to place it in the decoration. So if I paint it now and then it doesn't fit, I have to repaint it. So I will leave it like this for now and then maybe paint it or add some other kind of decoration when I set it up during Halloween. So we are at the end of the video, and if you like the video, if you like the project, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel to support me so I can make more of such cool projects and videos for you. And please feel free to write me your questions and suggestions down in the comments. So for today I say thanks for watching, see you next time and happy Halloween!